Welcome to Fast Track Gains. I'm here to help you accelerate your gains. This is the third episode of my fifth series, Fat Loss. One thing I've learned in life is that different tools are meant for different purposes. For example, for the same goal of chopping, we have cleavers for chopping meat, fruit knives for peeling or slicing fruit, steak knives for cutting cooked steaks, butter knives for spreading the butter on bread, and even fancy cheese knives for serving cheese if you are a cheese lover like me. Sure, every knife can be multifunctional. You can definitely use a steak knife to slice a piece of fruit, or spread butter, or even cut some chicken breast if you absolutely have to. But probably it is not a good idea to use a butter knife to chop some meat, or a cleaver to serve a cheese platter. And realistically speaking, each knife is only most useful for its own specific purpose. Or as they say, horses for courses, common logic, straight and simple. But when it comes to fat loss, people seem to have great difficulty trying to apply the same common logic. And while there are only three different tools we can choose from, namely the dietary intervention, cardio training, and resistance training, and every tool is capable of creating a caloric deficit by itself. Each tool is still only most useful for its own very specific purpose. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about how we can make best use of each tool. But before I start, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and without further ado, it's time to show you how to use different tools strategically so you can better execute your own fat loss plan. Tool number one, dietary intervention. Without a doubt, the old saying, you cannot outrun a bad diet, is an unbreakable rule for 99% of people with weight issues. While it is extremely difficult for most people to burn 1,000 calories in 1 hour, it is extremely easy for most people to gorge 1,000 calories in 10 minutes. A bag of 200 grams of potato chips can easily be gone in 10 minutes. I sure as hell can do that myself. So, right from the bat, dietary intervention is going to be your most powerful tool to create a caloric deficit. This is the reason why dietary intervention is always right at the center of every successful fat loss case. However, apart from creating a substantial caloric deficit, there is one specific purpose that cannot be achieved other than dietary intervention, and this specific purpose is good recovery. Because behind every calorie you eat, there are nutrients that your body requires for maintenance, repair, or even improvement. Cardio and resistance training send signals to your body to get better, but the training part itself is actually a stress imposed on the body. And without the proper nutritional support from high-quality foods, the body will be unable to recover from the training stress. As they say, you don't get better during training, you only get better during recovery. And high-quality nutrition is the most critical part for productive recovery, as it provides all the building blocks for your body to repair and strengthen itself. Even if you do not want to include any training in your fat loss plan, which I will not suggest, but a lot of people do it due to various reasons, proper nutrition is still of vital importance to your fat loss success. Because when you decrease your caloric intake, more than likely, you will decrease your nutritional intake along with it. And if you do not ensure that the key nutritional elements like protein, fiber, essential fats, and vitamins are all still in sufficient supply within the lowered caloric budget, you can still lose some body fat, but you may run into all sorts of other health problems that make fat loss even not worth it in the first place. So, although creating caloric deficit is its most important purpose, what you really should be paying attention to this tool is still its very specific purpose. Is the new nutrition plan going to support my body function properly or not? If not, no matter how big a caloric deficit you want, you better make some dietary interventions. Tool number 2, cardio training. Truth to be told, the benefit of cardio training extends far beyond fat loss. This is the link of my previous cardio training series. I dare say it is the best cardio training education series on the whole internet. Go ahead and watch it if you are interested in more details about cardio training. But for now, let us focus on the purpose of cardio training in fat loss context. As I said a minute ago, behind every calorie you eat, there are nutrients that your body requires, and there is a limit that you can decrease your caloric intake. Lower than this limit, you may run into the trouble of not having enough nutritional support for your body to function properly. Reducing daily caloric intake may not be such a big problem for, say, a muscular man whose daily caloric allowance is 3,500 calories and he only requires 500 calorie deficit from food. He has a lot of wiggle room to manipulate calories while still maintaining proper nutritional support. However, it will be a huge problem for, say, like a skinny lady whose daily caloric allowance is only 1,200 calories and she requires 500 calorie deficit from food. She has virtually no wiggle room for calorie manipulation if she wants to still maintain decent nutritional support for her body. This is why, although you cannot outrun a bad diet, reducing caloric intake will not be the solution for every fat loss success. Sometimes you have to increase your energy expenditure in order to not compromise your nutrition. And this is where cardio training comes in handy. It will create some necessary additional room for proper nutritional adjustment. On another note, if you are in fantastic cardio shape, then cardio training will make your fat loss so much more flexible. As mentioned before, nutritional adjustment is not the only tool that can create a substantial caloric deficit. Cardiovascular exercises, in particular, medium-intensity steady-state cardio, can sometimes be as powerful as dietary interventions. For example, I maintain my cardiovascular fitness at 1,000 calories per hour. If I want to create a 2,000 calorie daily deficit, I can do either 2 hours of cardio or do 90 minutes of cardio and slash 500 calories from my food, or do 1 hour of cardio and slash 1,000 calories from my food. All of a sudden, my fat loss plan just becomes so flexible, and there's so much more room for me to execute my fat loss plan other than only slashing calories from my food. And that is the specific purpose of cardio training in fat loss context, providing counterbalance to the negative effect of caloric deficit, creating more operational room for you to manipulate your daily caloric intake. Think cardio as the counterweight to a crane. The bigger the counterweight, the heavier the loading the crane can handle. And by the same token, the higher your cardiovascular fitness, the bigger the caloric deficit your body can handle. Tool number 3, resistance training. Reducing caloric intake and steady-state cardio are very effective at losing body fat. But unfortunately, they're also very effective at reducing your muscle mass. Reducing caloric intake signals the body that energy supply is getting scarce. Therefore, it is wise to lose some metabolically active tissue, your muscle cells, and conserve some energy, increase your body fat storage to adapt to this change. Steady-state cardio signals the body that efficiency is more important than high power output. Therefore, it is wise to increase efficiency by losing some muscle mass. Add both together, you have a double whammy that will spiral your muscle mass loss. The specific purpose of resistance training is that It is the only activity that reminds the body that muscle mass is still important and there is a necessity to conserve the muscle mass. Without resistance training, under the duress of reducing caloric intake and steady state cardio, your body will let go the last hesitation and start wasting precious muscle cells without any delay. As your muscle mass contributes to the majority of your resting metabolism, reducing muscle mass will significantly reduce your metabolism as well, which means you have to eat a lot less food to maintain your fat loss results. And as I've said before, you may be able to starve yourself for a period of time, but you are never going to starve yourself for the rest of your life. This is why any fat loss program without any resistance training will be hard for long-term maintenance. Therefore, although resistance training is the least effective tool for creating a caloric deficit, its specific purpose, preserving muscle mass, still makes it arguably the most important tool for long-term fat loss success. And I'm going to put a video link out there for you guys to reference. This is Christian Dabadao, world-class strength and conditioning coach, and he's going to give you some other important reasons as to why it is necessary to include weight training in your fat loss plans. All right, a quick summary. Although all three tools, dietary intervention, cardio training, and resistance training, they're all capable of creating caloric deficit by itself. Each one has its own specific purpose. Dietary intervention for better recovery, cardio training for counterbalancing the downside of caloric deficit, and resistance training for preserving your muscle mass. When you understand the specific purpose of each tool, you are going to have a much higher chance at ensuring your long-term fat loss success. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next episode. Peace out.